Well, hi everyone. My name is Guillaume, co-founder of Carbonable. Carbonable, what we can call the Web3 powered carbon engine, carbon removal engine. Truly humbled and honored to actually be able to present to you Carbonable, more so also like just the carbon removal market and how and why blockchain technologies can solve some of the most pressing issues in this field. So I think a little bit of context. Everyone knows the house is burning. We know that climate change is one of the most important for human being as a whole. One news that is interesting is that there will be like legal reinforcements to oblige anyone, and more specifically companies, to act towards carbon neutrality, the so-called carbon neutrality. But more so, like the latest reports from the climate agency are saying that we all need collectively to actively fight. So those legal reinforcement, they oblige companies to get towards carbon neutrality. And how do they do so? Well, first they reduce all their emissions, but then second, they can buy what we call carbon credits, and more precisely, voluntary carbon credits. What are those carbon credits? Those are the equivalent of 1 ton of CO2. So 1 ton of CO2 that is either avoided or removed. And when you buy one credit like this, it means that you financed a solution that helped remove or capture 1 ton equivalent of CO2. So it's a financial incentive to fund green solutions. And interestingly enough, this market is booming. It has been doing by time 2 and time 3 in the past few years, reaching $2 billion, and about to reach, according to forecasts from Bloomberg and McKinsey, 200 billion or 500 billion, or even on the latest forecast, it was 1 trillion. That was in January 2023, they said that. So it's just the beginning of a market that is huge. Now, it creates both a tremendous opportunity from an investment standpoint, so green investment standpoint, but also like a risk and a need from a corporate standpoint. It means like as a company, if you don't invest now, the cost for you to get to carbon neutral is going to be much higher in the next few years with the evolution of the carbon credits price. For investors, it means like you better off like invest now because you can actually finance solutions at a price of today financing price for the futures of carbon credits, which are going to evolve drastically in the next few years. So this curve, don't necessarily watch at the numbers you can play on our website, but it's more so to show that you better off invest now, either as a company or as an investor, in those green solutions, because you will earn more profits and or save much more costs as a company. That said, there are some very big inefficiencies in this market. Number one is accessibility. Right now, those projects that I'm talking about, like carbon removal projects, they cost, the very bare minimum is 100K, but it can go to 100 millions. And obviously, no one has 100 millions to actually finance those. Only large-scale corporations. So accessibility to finance these is a big problem. Number two, and I think everyone knows this here, is greenwashing. What happens to those projects that you finance? What do they become? Are they still alive, etc.? Number three is that there are actually no tools right now. Like everything is OTC. Everything is, you will go to a service provider and ask to fund those, but there is no tool to either invest or manage your investments. So that's why with Carbonable, we've been building and we are actively building what we aim to be the ultimate tool to drive and manage investments in carbon removal. So what we want to aim is actually to make it available to anyone and efficient to anyone. And by anyone, we mean individuals to play their role in the fight against climate change, but also companies, small, medium, large companies. And we do so powered by StarkNet. So we are mainly open source. Our solution is really here to actually be able to plug and play with any other type of solutions in the ecosystem and abroad the blockchain ecosystems to be the tool to enable anyone to actually fight climate change. How do we do so? Like the very basic on okay, what's the secret recipe, let's say at the very beginning of Carbonable? What we do is we convert the carbon removal projects into digital assets. So it means instead of $1 million project, we fragment it into several digital assets, and that sum up, the $1 million. So those are like shares in this project. Very important to actually see where we are in the Web3 scope. We often hear like, how do you differ from flow carbon, from Toucan, from Climat d'AO, etc. Great, like they all play their roles, but they all focus so far on what we call like the tokenization of the carbon credits themselves. We, Carbonable, we are one step further. We tokenize the projects. So as I was saying, like here tokenizing the projects. Why so? Because we want to increase the funding of those projects and generate carbon credits. So it's like a farming of carbon credits. And this illustrates what is ultimately like a carbonable asset. A carbonable asset is like an asset that will generate over time, year after year, carbon credits. So it's definitely not one carbon credits, it's a farm of carbon credits. And so that's what I was saying before, really like with that in mind, like with that as a foundation, what we're building is the tool that can help companies drive sustainability with the same efficiency as profits. We think now like those companies in general don't have choice, they need to act, and we want to empower them to do so by overcoming then 3 key challenges. Number 1, the financial. So being able to invest in the right projects at the right price. Number 2, operationally speaking, being able to manage the supply of carbon credits over time to have visibility on how to get to net zero in an efficient way. And third, but not least, reputational, going against the risk of greenwashing, funding only good projects and being able to monitor them and communicate them efficiently. So we are a turnkey end-to-end solution for any company, whether they're off-chain or on-chain, to actually act easily against climate change. Why we chose the blockchain is not because it's a buzzword, it's because actually it provides unparalleled benefits. Number 1 is granularity. You can fragment those projects as slow as you want to be very precise. Accessibility, it means now everyone can actually fund those carbon removal projects. Cost saving, because the way we are structured, we minimize the cost against, like, in comparison with off-chain companies. Risk diversification, it means that with the same budget, you can now fund different projects. Liquidity, that I won't explain, obviously. Transparency, and that's key. It means that you know in what you invest, you know what are the commissions, that who takes what, etc. Everything is crystal clear, etc., etc. It's just blockchain technology unlocking and empowering anyone to be the most efficient possible towards climate neutrality. So here are some examples of our platform. So on the funding side, you can, like a launchpad, you can fund the projects that you think are the most relevant. On the managing side, you can actually manage your investments, see the evolution of your investment, the APR, etc., etc. And communicate efficiently. You have web impact reports that are real time, and you have access to those at any point in time to see how and what is happening with the projects, including satellite imagery. So to close, I would say that we are still in the process of building, and that's really like the mindset in the company is we build, we improve, and we iterate. We are building like an open source protocol. The idea is really like for anyone to be able to use it. So it's sort of a plug and play type of vision that we have, so that any company in the ecosystem can do and can use and leverage Carbonable protocol. We are in that direction. We are creating like the Carbonable labs. So I actually invite any builders here to join our efforts in building this open source technology to be like the ultimate tool in carbon removal. We really think that beer or bull, we don't care pretty much. Like there is no time to wait. We need to push the innovation in the ecosystem. And those are some like strong partnerships that we're building with off-chain companies that trust us. So obviously, like it's very, like, we are honored, but also we are building partnerships with Web3 entities. And so if you guys run some Web3 entities and or are interested in building such partnerships, don't hesitate to come and talk. So thank you very much, everyone, and happy to answer any questions. Does anyone have any question? Yeah. Yeah, very good question. We are really well aware that this is like the value, like the inherent value of both like the yield and the offset comes to like selecting those projects, and so we're partnering with what we can consider as the best player in the market. So both certifiers and verifiers. To have like due diligences about the projects that we are funding, and we're running a due diligence over the due diligence to select what we consider as premium projects. It means premium in carbon removal, premium in the impact that they have on biodiversity and on local communities. Those are the three criteria that we take into consideration as key. But for any project that we fund, you guys can have access actually to the due diligence document, which is like about 30 pages. Any other question? All right, thank you very much.